Yeah, I just don't get to sleep anymore. Mainly because I'm so busy casting so many games of Age of Empires 4. One and all, welcome back to the channel for our quarterfinal showdown. It's the return of B, a familiar sight here in the Midweek Musters, but on the other side, it is the Dane of the North. It is the kid who has come to become the master. Volta Esports Voldemar. Wow, that actually lines up perfectly name-wise. In a best of 5 up against B, and we kick off here on Receding. House of Lancaster, a pick that makes a lot of sense. Roos, not so much. No, the reason being, how the hell did Roos make it through the banning phase? Well, some funky things happened here, folks. You can have a look right there. Yeah, you see that correctly. Knights Templar was a priority ban in the mind of Voldemar instead of just banning out the Roos straight away, as most players would. And B obliges. Interesting to see them picked here as well. In theory, actually a pretty good map for Roos because you're already seeing 37 trees on these hunting cabins, 30 up here. It's a huge tree line right next to your base. You can just keep accruing. Down the line, like maybe high trade house placements, a little bit weird, but I think there's one good enough here to justify. I'm curious how B wants to try and approach this though, because the cool thing about Roos, and this is, I think maybe a baiting element, is with these points of interest on the map, such as the Forgotten Ruins and also the merchant camps. You think Roos suck, but they actually don't. They're pretty good because of those scouts. Remember, scouts are just as capable of spears of capturing those locations. And also of stopping any sort of deer shove that you were hoping to yield. Yeah, it makes sense as well, because B keeps the door open now to play pro scouts on delay. So overall, pretty good start for him. A horrible start for Voldemar, also getting aggroed by the wolves. And we are going to be seeing played for stone. So this makes a lot of sense. The Lancaster Civ plays stone really well on this map. If you haven't seen Receding before, reminder is a map with 3 Forgotten Ruin sites in the center. These are the ones that generate stone for a while. And then after they're done generating stone via a villager being inside, it will dig up a relic. So another element to this map that's interesting because of that is that Roos, in theory, feel a little bit weaker. Remember, Roos are a Civ that really thrive off the idea of having flexibility to fast castle into Relic Rush. That isn't going to look as good here. I think a lot of the other things just don't sound that good to me, you know? Like, you could play, what, Knights plus Archers? Trying to dive into mass mana defense might be a bit awkward. But even later, the idea of just playing, obviously, those Knights into the Spearmen that give minus armor doesn't feel great, but even worse still is the idea of Horse Archers versus Yeomen. So I imagine B's maybe looking at, like, what, either a fast castle into Men-at-Arms rush, or maybe we see him just go all in Feudal. Why is there so much gold? I mean, honestly, I don't think it matters. In our experiences on this map so far, the amount of gold, like, it's never been depleted. I think it's not too bad because you're already so uncomfortably close together. It's not like you're just getting crap tons of gold in your corner. Like, this has no more gold than a standard dry Arabia would have. In fact, I think it has slightly less, if I'm not mistaken, due to the 1.6k vein here. But Golden Gate's going to be coming in pretty swiftly. B with 7 rushing this up. Has considered the merchant camp in the meantime. And Voldemar is going to be doing the norm. We see this a lot. Lancaster Castle drop up towards the D location, playing blocker to potential pro scouts. I mean, are you thinking about pro scouts if you're B, though? It'd be risky to come out and plant the deer, but you would get a big window of opportunity considering your opponent is going to be greedy. And oh my god, greedy doesn't really cut it here. We've got a deer shove towards the Lancaster Castle. B is going to try to lame it, but it's just already looking a bit awkward to shove these further away, with the spears already chasing you. Yeah, the good news is B can intercept this a bit because A, there's only 2 spears here so far, and B, he has 3 scouts. Normally, 3 spearmen is counterplayed to deer lame because 2 keep shoving the deer while 1 keeps chasing you. Are you kidding me? Sir, you can't be serious. He's tempted. He knows if he turns around now, he'd die. But he can just bring the other scout back in. Oh, this is so infuriating for Voldemar. Like, it looked like it was going to be a clean, dirty deer shove, but he's having none of it. Is the stone generation enough to keep up mana building? You will be able to produce 1 mana a minute if you garrison 2 of these locations. So normally you do still see people go for a mining camp to actively gather because you usually want to be building more than 1 mana a minute with this type of build. It's nice, right? Like, it's just Compared to what a normal villager would do, a normal villager on Stone at this stage of the game would do like, what, 35 resources? So you're almost getting double by camping in the Forgotten Ruins. And yes, this map is actually called Receding. Yeah, we've been hard on the map ideation. Big shout out to Caillou for working with us on that. We were highlighting this the other day. Like, we looked back at Caillou's work, and I think like 11 or 12 of the maps were requested by us. That guy is a never sleeping beast, I swear. And it looks like B is going full aggro, so we got Archer plus Knights. Okay. Now, I said this is going to feel weird against Lancaster, but it comes down to what Lancaster's going to do. If they're going to just greed with manas, it does give some runway to Roos. However, if Voldemar was, say, to only build 3 manas and then start bulking, I quite like his position. What I'm not so sure about is B's choice to go Pro Scouts. I kind of get where he's coming from, though, and it's the same reason why he's building Archer Knights. He can dive this. Remember, it's actually not that much firepower at the start of Lancaster Castle. It's enough that you don't want to be going underneath it with 1 or 2 archers, sure. But with Scouts, which are fairly cheap and also heal over time, it's actually quite feasible to just go in and yoink the deer. Like, what you're going to see on this Lancaster Castle is going to be very reminiscent of what we used to see in the original Pro Scouts meta. If you guys remember back in 2021, when people would just dive underneath your TC and pick up all the deer. Oh, those are the dark days. Sometimes I wonder if we are partially back in the dark days. 2 TC Pro Scouts, too greedy? Yeah, you don't need to do 2 TC. And we do have double arch range. I like Voldemar's approach right now. This makes a lot of sense. You definitely want to be getting towards the additional manas. It looks like he got blocked out. Yeah, lost the Forgotten Ruins, isn't actively gathering stone, and now has to compete with the fact that he's not scaling his economy, while B is securing plenty of his own. It's going to be a play onto the ball. Interesting. So we aren't going to be seeing... Like, wait, he didn't cancel it? So he's going Pro Scouts despite the fact he's already here. All right, this build is getting really weird from B. And maybe it's good that he goes Pro Scouts, because I don't think he can hang here long. He's going to have to go for the Winter Fortress. Archers are buying some decent time, but the Yeomen are on the way, and the Spearmen see an opportunity to dive onto the Workers. That's difficult, though, because it means you're sacrificing yourself. Archers, we're going to trade you out. B does have more ranged units on the way, but the Winter Fortress not able to get up in time. So a bit wasteful here for B. A little bit odd as well that he didn't just wait on the Pro Scouts play. I guess he wanted to have some variability so he couldn't get shut down easily. Because if you're just camping at home waiting for food, your opponent can potentially like just stick on the deer closest to your base, I guess. I don't know. It feels a bit funky to me. Like, this strategy did at least get him the deer on the north home. But I do wonder if he could have done that anyway. Considering that this stage, it'd be very difficult for Voldemar to potentially guard both deer stacks when he only just started producing troops. And yes, this map did indeed first feature in Himscar. Yeah, like, we've been kind of grinding on integrating new maps into the competitive scene, haven't we? Now that I think about it. We've done a lot of maps. As in, like, first appearances. It's pretty crazy. And I mean a lot. Like, I'm trying to think what the raw count would be. I don't know if someone's been keeping track. But obviously, KPMs have featured multiple weeks introducing new maps competitively for the first time ever. Then there's obviously the Hims Cups, where we design maps specifically for that tournament. It goes on and on. The only one that I haven't felt confident about that like we've integrated, like some are gimmicky and they lose their touch, like maybe Atoll. But I think the only one that like obviously needs some true refinement, but it's difficult because we're using clunky mechanics to design it, is probably Impotence. Yeah, Receding Alopecia, great. Like, I expect Alopecia to make an appearance in future weeks of KPMM. Which makes sense, considering that we're all aging men, so we can't keep that hair forever. Okay, I couldn't resist it. Like, I sat on that... I was trying to stop myself from making a balding thing. He's getting a lot of the deer here, home here, by the way. Like, he does have knights in the configuration, so... The Yeomen are a little bit fearful of life. The Spearman count not insanely high, but... I mean, Voldemar's core count does look good. And he's already got the Blacksmith text, which is more than Beacon brag. He's got Undermesh on the way, but he's at a huge disadvantage right now. These yeomen are even capable of taking down the knights, so he has to show respect. The problem is, because he had to step up to secure the deer, he knows he's going to lose troops in the retreat, courtesy of the superior movement speed of those yeomen. I mean, upsides for B is his opponent is still only two manas. This is not great from Voldemar on an economy scale point. And that doesn't feel great to me either. The fact he's going siege engineering is maybe a little bit questionable here. Yeah, because, like, what's the game strat here? How are you going to dive the base quick enough when your opponent's going to have, like, archer knights defending? I wonder if it would have made more sense just to pin your opponent and maybe play for more of the manas. We'll see. I can kind of see his thought process. The production is on the front side, and if he can wedge himself in the tree line, B can't produce a counterplay. And also, like, B has another problem, which is if he's going to keep pumping knights, he's going to run out of gold fairly fast, even with the golden gate. So, like, I think key for Voldemar is that north side. If he goes through the south here, you're kind of just fighting against the winds, if that makes sense. Like, your opponent's still going to have the core resource to keep producing. He can build more production builds behind here. And the nice thing about Yeoman compared to Lombos is you can rotate around the back. Steadthirst going to be a frontal flash. Knights do go for the charge in. B, that's a good peel. He brings them in range. He just wants to basically expose the spears so the archers can clear. Now it's going to be A-click in. There's not many spearmen left over, so B, able to search the defense. And Yeoman are going to need to retreat. Yeah, just no spears left alive. He's going to trade out with the archers as he leaves. It's the best thing he can do. It ensures that when he has 1 or 2 spears coming in, they'll be worth their weight in gold. Still hasn't cleared those archers yet. And now he's standing his ground into the knights. Voldemar. Is this falling apart a bit? It feels like it here. He's still only 2 manas, and he's lost critical mass. The yeomen are no longer a real threat. So knights will just sweep him away. The ram investment was completely worthless. He wasn't even attacking with it the entire time. And all of a sudden, an advantageous position completely lost for Voldemar. And B, maybe unshackled now to go to the next stage, which feels like it's what he's been seeking this whole time. There's not really much left on the map for him. He already got double deer stack back. Or is going to anyways, back down here. I mean, could he just all in? The coulds and the shoulds, right? Like, I think from this position, it's not necessary. You're going to be diving into extra manas, the Lancaster Castle, defender's advantage of production rates. Like, you're pretty much just fighting uphill, right? I think similar to Voldemar's position earlier, B now finds himself in the exact scenario that Voldemar was 2 minutes ago, where he has a strong advantage. And the way you could lose this is by diving any base. But things I don't want you guys to lose out right there. AMD. Boom. While we got a second for the fights, reminder, we have got Ryzen back with us again, having us talk about the 9800 X3D. If you have not clicked that link, go check them out. It's an awareness campaign. Big shout out to AMD for sponsoring. Now back into the action. I mean, look how crisp everything is in this game, by the way. That is courtesy of the AMD power. Couldn't do it without them. Yeah, like, you got longbows that are kind of like your old gen CPU, and then you got Yeoman, which are genuinely like the Ryzen. These things are just ridiculous zoomers. Crazy thing is, they're just not looking that good in this game. I think B just gave Voldemar the rope to really do himself in, and now the Knights charging in, a lot of them here. I think Voldemar misread the situation, thought he was actually going to have the mass to push out. Regrets even looking, because his Knight count looks scary. Yeah, like B, we talked about the risk of diving in, but if Voldemar's willing to come to you, it just gives you an opening. And this many Knights, I don't think anyone really expected. B now with the dive in, villagers have to be pulled to get the short bows out. But there's barely an army left to speak of. Voldemar only 15 yeomen to his name. Siege engineering now coming in. B feels like he's got a confident enough lead to now punish Voldemar a ton. Put together a new build, wish you could use my link. You can, just click on it. I mean, so the campaign, this is what I mean when I say we do awareness campaigns. When it's an awareness campaign, there's not really a desire to have you go buy on the link. It's for you to check it out on the link. Sometimes, like, with those ones, it's obviously nice they can get conversions into sales, but like a big part of it is they just want you to look at the brand. So yeah, just in this case, like, it's an awareness campaign. So they basically want people to click through. But we have sales-based ones, right? Like Opera GX is a sales-based one where we can make more by people downloading. And speaking of things going down, the villagers are in trouble here. He's actually front-line short-bowing right now to try and buy some time. I don't really think there's any left for him here. It looks like B is just going to run over him like a plague in the feudal age. There's just nowhere left to run. The villagers are now exposed. Archer count is far too high. And remember, like, this is not as if you're English defending your base. You don't have an attack speed aura that would justify defense that would normally seem impossible. This is impossible. This is B taking game number 1. Valiant effort by Voldemar. I think he's going to kind of facepalm, maybe feel a little bit like self-punished. He was in a pretty good position pushing towards B's base, but maybe just felt a bit too much urgency. I think in Voldemar's mind, he was expecting a tech up coming out of the roost, as is often the case. We are going to get him summoning Demi-Lancers for his last stand. I mean, this is meant to be the ace up his sleeve, and quite often it is, but for once in its existence, this looks like the pay-to-lose button. I never thought I'd say that of the Demi-Lancers, but I guess when Roost get through the banning phase, anything's on the table.